All right, upcoming.
It says you're live. I don't know where
Awesome.
you can share it. Actually, can
We
you
are
share
here.
it?
Okay, I'm gonna share it on my. I'm gonna share it on my YouTube, on my channel. All right, let's get started then.
Yeah, we got some people coming in. Let me see.
Awesome.
X is working. Okay. What's up, everyone? We're trying to get this started.
All right, there you go. Posted. Oh, you're muted.
What a noob. Maybe repost on X.
Yeah, let's do that.
I mentioned you. I don't know if you see that.
Repost. There you go.
The problem.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's do it. Are you ready?
Yep. Always ready.
Peeps. All right.
The problem.
Yeah, why Bitcoin is too profound for most. Of course, we have to have a little maxi title, but Rajad and I thought, maybe let's go through some stuff we saw last week. I think Rajad has a really cool letter of a friend who read the bullish case for Bitcoin and then decided to write him a paper and tell him why Bitcoin sucks. So that's funny. But first off, I think you haven't seen this, so that is fun. There was this post. There's this. This is a post by Alex Gladstein, but it's about this post by New Scientist, which has like 4 million followers on X, and they have apparently his podcast episodes about bad inventions or innovations of the 21st century or something. And this one says Bitcoin is one big disaster for the environment. Mining Bitcoin requires an inordinate amount of energy, is a terrible investment these days, and fuels crime on the dark web. Fun thing is, this is not the first post. This is the second one. So they had one post where they actually got like super burned. People replied. You can even still see it here. Obviously, I always like to share Trump here. So, you're wrong.
You almost ratioed them. Oh, Daniel ratioed them.
Daniel ratioed them. Yeah. So, and people are like, yeah, like, is this from 2013? Anyway, so I want to show you the clip because it's funny that you haven't seen it.
Only a minute. Perfect.
And this, of course, Alex Gladstein. He says Bitcoin is probably the best idea of the 21st century. You would think that New Scientist would appreciate its amazing revolution with respect to human rights, financial inclusion, and transformation of energy systems. But no, these people are living in the dark ages. Well, here you go, Rajad.
Necessarily Bitcoin itself or cryptocurrency itself. It's actually the mining. It takes a colossal amount of computing power to mine a single Bitcoin. It uses up as much energy as some entire countries still. Just Bitcoin, not cryptocurrency in general.
And in terms of if it is a good investment or not, you had some interesting comparisons with that, didn't you?
Basically, if you look at sort of the recent history, you're better off just buying a bunch of Pokemon cards than Bitcoin. It is just a big betting market. The other problem is that you can't use Bitcoin for anything. So if you've got a bunch of Bitcoin, it's hard to make a transaction. Very few places accept it. The average carbon footprint of a flight from London to New York is smaller than a single Bitcoin transaction. So environmentally, it would be better to just take your cash and put it in a briefcase and fly it wherever you're sending it. So right now, it's just this betting market that's great if you want to do crimes in an untraceable way, but it's not useful for a whole lot more than that.
Yeah, so you mentioned the dark web, basically. So you can't buy firearms and missiles with Pokemon cards, but you can with Bitcoin. The dark web, it didn't really exist before Bitcoin came.
Why do all these people talk like they are intellectuals, but then the words that come out of their mouth are nonsense? So your first reaction?
Yeah, that's wild. So I think one of the things that people on these videos say is that it fuels crime. And I want to share something here. There's this guy on X. His name is Zach XBT. Mm-hmm. He's almost like an online sleuth, basically. Can you share my screen? and he just finds people who do stupid things, like they do certain crimes, and he exposes them. So that's exactly what happened here. So you can see here, if you're curious how John DeGita, his name is Lick, was able to steal $40 million plus from the US government seizure addresses. John's dad owns CMDSS. He was able to find out that this guy stole $40 million worth of Bitcoin. How would you do that with US dollars? You can't. Your US dollars are they're not trackable either. I would say US dollars are more easily easy to do crime with than Bitcoin, because there is no track, there's no trace. And then there's like the crazy thing is all these people sound so confident. Like where she was saying you should put cash in a briefcase and carry it.
Yeah,
Okay,
but even like where to start?
yeah,
Where do you start, right?
there's
Like
too much. Like what
yeah.
she said there. Take cash in a briefcase. Is your time not valuable to you? You're gonna basically go, like if you wanted to pay somebody, if I wanted to give you money and I wanted to send you $10, I'm
Mhm.
gonna take that $10 on an airplane and give it to you. It's gonna cost me more to
Oh,
move
yeah.
that money than it is the amount that you're getting.
What I think is just really funny, these people always find themselves in this kind of like flow when they start to talk in this way, and she finds in this case, right, like two people that are like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, like tell us more, right? And then
Yeah.
and then it goes off the rails, right? Like
Yeah.
it's better if you buy Pokemon cards and stuff like that. And it's just it's such intellectual laziness coming from an account called New Scientist, right? Supposedly these people are intellectual and do research and reflection and love science, which is basically, I have a hypothesis and I'm trying to prove it wrong and see if I'm wrong, right? And I mean, it's just fascinating to see. And I wanted to show you this because I think my general theme of last week, and I think also why we say this, the title on YouTube is Why Bitcoin is Too Profound for Most. It's just like we're so early. We're so incredibly early, right? And I had this one tweet. I just saved some tweets of myself and stuff that I reposted. So let me know what you think. But I tweeted like, I really admire how Bitcoin haters never let evidence interfere with their opinions, right? And I think this video we just saw is just one example of that. And Daniel Batten obviously had a reply where he shared, I think there's now 12 or even 20 or like a lot of journals and peer-reviewed articles about Bitcoin mining and how it's, good for the environment and all the things they're doing with methane emissions and stuff like that. And so I don't really understand that people are not interested in that, right? And in even just that, like the renewable and energy part is just one part of Bitcoin. And when you think about it in terms of mining and how actually adding mining to any renewable energy source makes sure you can actually get a higher ROI on not only like the hardware, like the system investments, but also actually get an ROI on whenever the sun shines, right, or whenever the wind blows, or whenever the water flows, and whatnot. And so even that, like even if you're just interested in that and you don't care about monetary debasement or any of that stuff, if there is a technology that can actually improve that what you think is important in the world, right, why wouldn't you pay attention?
Yeah. I think people don't want to. That's the thing. It's too difficult. It's like, do you know what a paradigm shift is?
Yeah, I have. Well, it's funny you say that because here I have another tweet.
Like it's a paradigm shift, right? It completely changes the way that you look at the world. It's exactly like what you said. It's unique. It's very unique, and it changes everything about how the money system works. Think about it. Like today, if you want to take self-custody of stocks, for example, how do you do it? You go to a brokerage, you pay them a certain amount of money to print out a certificate for you, and then you take self-custody of it. And then let's say that certificate gets taken from you, it's gone, it's physical. That's the kind of world that we live in right now. If you could take self-custody of your stocks, the system wouldn't work. because
Yeah,
how
exactly.
do you
And that's why
how do
you
you
can't, right?
right? How do you trade? You can't trade because even like think about a settlement. It takes 1 to 2 business days to settle your stocks, whereas with Bitcoin it settles in 10 minutes, right? And just that alone,
Yeah.
because you can't take self custody, it takes 1 to 2 days. If you could take self custody, how long would it take? It would take a month. What, 15 days? Right?
Maybe I don't know.
Right? That's
To
crazy.
give the real paper, like the certificate, to the other person that's buying it from you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's the
maybe.
paradigm
Well,
shift, right?
they're digitizing that, right? And this is one of the things I find very interesting. I'll put up my tweet again. So why I put this there is you can take this conversation in so many directions, right? You can talk about ownership. What is actual ownership, or what is actual property,
Mhm.
right? How much have we in general, us, people have abstracted outsourced very important things in our lives, like the ownership of our money, or the supposed ownership of a house, or the supposed ownership of stocks, and then planned like a whole life and all these activities around that to eventually see or understand that that is all fake. And you can only see that that is fake because something came along that actually gives you certain usages in ways that were never able to occur before, right? So you talk about the final settlement. I think that's one, right? Like actually truly owning something is two, being able to verify it for yourself as an individual that you own a certain asset or an X amount of that, right? Yeah, we can go in so many different ways, but the weird thing is, especially now when you're looking at like silver and gold, etc., they're going, and I have another tweet about that, but Bitcoin is lacking. I just think it's an opportunity. I constantly think this is just the opportunity. Why? Because everyone in TradFi talks like they understand it. Yeah, Bitcoin is a risk on. No, Bitcoin is a risk off. Bitcoin is like, it's trading like a Nasdaq stock. No, Bitcoin is like Beanie Babies. Like, it doesn't really matter what people say. It's all wrong, right? There's very few people in TradFi that actually understand what this is. There are some major ones, right? Like Stanley Druckenmiller, Bill Miller, who I also have a tweet from, so maybe that was stuck in my head somewhere. But like these people know, and they supposed to know. It's their job, right? So I think it's very difficult for people to kind of discern as to who they should listen to. But I think just in general, because people have outsourced a lot of stuff in their lives, they just listen to an expert. They just listen to the three people on the New Scientist podcast, because it has 4 million followers, so they must know what they're talking about. Holy shit, 1 Bitcoin transaction is as much energy as a flight from whatever she said, London to New York, right?
Yeah.
And I just love this. Like Bill Miller, for anyone who's not following Bill Miller, you should follow this guy. I'm trying to get him on the pod, to no avail yet, but his dad is like a Wall Street legend, Bill Miller the Third. This is Bill Miller the Fourth. And they just really know what Bitcoin is. And what I like is, he shares here, gold is going up faster than Bitcoin. I guess Bitcoin is just another risk asset and not digital gold. Wrong. The correlation between Bitcoin and gold over the past decade is 0.09, which is none, right? Like the higher towards 1, the bigger the actual correlation. So why would you expect it to move at the same time? And I think I have another tweet about this. Funny, you just give me the space to rant my stuff and just let me know.
Yeah, of course. Actually,
yeah.
I want to bring something up. I want to share something. Just
course.
in relation to what you were posting, what you showed just now, the Bill Miller tweet. Can I share my screen? So, like, take a look at this. So, this is what gold bugs are celebrating, right? Gold went from 2,443,000 satoshis per ounce of gold to 5,722,000 satoshis per ounce of gold. So it went up. The value of gold more than doubled in a very short period of time. So from January 2020 or December 2024 till January 2026, it more than doubled. But let's zoom out on this. This is what's gonna really show people what's actually happening. Like this is what people are celebrating right here. Right? That's nothing. Right? If we zoom out more, like look at this. It's just down. At one point, 1 ounce of gold was worth 23,000 Bitcoin. 23,000. And then at one point it was worth 49 Bitcoin. At one point it was worth 896 Bitcoin. Right? And you can see here, this is a log chart. If it wasn't log, I think it's Control Alt L. Is it Alt L? Oh yeah, there you go. This is the non-log chart. It's like the more recent bump
Holy
up.
shit, I love that.
It's not even
That's cool.
relevant. It doesn't even show, right? Like look at this. This is a non-log chart. Like at one point you can see here, 1 ounce of gold was worth, like at the top here, it was 133,000 Bitcoin per ounce of gold. And today it's at 0.057 Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And this is what people are celebrating.
Can you go back to the other one?
Oh yeah, let me share it.
What I really like about this, and I think that ties into my previous tweet, is that you need to understand that this is a very long game. It's a long game.
Yeah.
Right. And most of the people, wait, I'll quickly switch to my tweet here. Give me 1 second.
Yeah, no worries.
I'll go back. Just keep it on there. This guy posts, why is gold up and Bitcoin down? Great take. You know, here it says Federal Reserve easing faster than People's Bank of China. Bitcoin gold ratio should rise when China's central bank is easing faster than the US. Bitcoin gold ratio should fall because, you know, gold is culturally kind of connected in not only China, but also, you know, just Arabic countries,
Asia in general, right?
Eastern. Yeah. And like Arabic countries, etc. But yeah, my explainer just is people just following what other people do is gold goes up. People investigating what superior money characteristics actually are, confronting and unlearning everything other people haven't taught them, Bitcoin goes up. I think we're super early. I think we're extremely early in that sense. And I'll go back to yours. So what I really like is that this is the trend. Right? Yeah. You should think about it like this. This is the trend. There is something which is Bitcoin that just came along, right? It was introduced to the world. Obviously, not everyone understands it, which is logical for, I think, a lot of different reasons. But the main reason is just like no one ever really thought to themselves, what is money, right? Fun thing. I like last week or 2 weeks ago, I rewatched the video from when the Dutch central bank actually moved their gold from they had like a big vault in Amsterdam, and they moved it to this abandoned military airfield, and they remodded it, and now that's where all the gold is. And there was this like governor from the central bank, or whoever the person that was in charge, and they were being interviewed on the news, and they were like, yeah, gold is a way to protect ourselves from when the financial system might go down or something happens, and we've been doing that for ages, and XYZ. And I'm just in awe that someone at that position with that job has that explainer. Maybe they don't want to scare people, right? Because what they're implicitly saying is the system we're using is not flawless, right? So we have this backup, and everyone basically has this backup. And it's even so that, not sure if that's around the world. I think it's in Europe, definitely, probably around the world. But there's still a certain ratio between how much gold countries can have, because in an event of, let's say, a financial collapse, an economic collapse, and there's like a reset, it's still an even playing field. So even at that level, there are like agreements that supposedly say you can only own this much gold. So even at a country level, right? So at our personal level, we are not really fully informed about the reasons why. But even at that level, there are agreements to kind of prevent from things to be shaken up too much or something like that. I thought it was just very, very vague. Like it just seems like not a lot of people actually understand why you would hold gold, or also, of course, why you would hold Bitcoin or anything besides euros, dollars, yens, pounds, right? So yeah, I just think it's a really long game, and that's also why hodling is increasingly hard, because there's more people that understand you should buy gold or you should buy silver, right? But there's not that many people that look at Bitcoin.
What I know for sure is that no matter what happens, the price of gold is never going to go back to 130,000 Bitcoin per ounce. That's never going to happen.
Well, that's a really good comment. Yeah,
we're never going to go back to that. So it's like people say, oh, it's either going to 1 million or it's going to 0, and I'm betting on 1 million. The price of gold in terms of Bitcoin is either going to 21 million or infinity ounce Bitcoin per ounce of gold, or 0. And I think it's going to 0. I think at some point you're going to be paying a Satoshi or a few hundred Satoshis per ounce of gold. Because even if, so there was this post that I saw this morning where the person said, oh, gold and Bitcoin are very similar. This is the crazy thing. He said the scarcity is the same. No, it's not.
Absolutely not. No.
Right. If you have 1.5% inflation every single year for the rest of eternity, then your savings are being devalued by 50% every 35 years. Whereas with Bitcoin, the supply is decreasing over time. So the supply is it's decreasing, it's falling. There's less Bitcoin available, and there's less Bitcoin created every 10 minutes compared to gold. So one thing that I was reading an article, it said how in the last 50 years, so how long has gold been around for? 5,000 years, 10,000 years, since the beginning of Earth, whenever that was. I don't know when that was, but let's say 10,000 years. In the last 50 years, think about these numbers. In the last 50 years, 60 to 70% of the gold was mined.
Yeah.
In 5,000 or 4,950 years before that, 33% of the gold that we have was mined. But in the last 50 years, 66% of it was mined. So what does that mean? That means the supply is accelerating. The growth of the supply is increasing. It's going
in absolute amounts. In absolute amounts, you mean?
Right. It's going up.
Yeah.
And people aren't seeing. So what's going to happen in the next 50 years? Are we going to have 99% of the supply mined in the next 50 years? Is that the amount that's going to be brought, let's say, from space to Earth?
Well, funny you say that, because I have 2 tweets, one from myself and one from Darren Feinstein. I love that we're touching upon this, because I think why people cannot see Bitcoin is because you have to think in a certain conceptual way. And I'll try to explain what I mean here. By the way, for people watching, if you have questions, comments, whatever, just put them. We're looking at the chat. So if there's any stuff you want us to talk about, let us know. We have 45, 50-ish minutes left. So what people don't, I think my conclusion is that in some way, you and I are very lucky, and everyone who understands is very lucky. Bitcoin is very lucky, because our brain is just wired in a certain way that we're able to conceptualize, and I think also visualize. So what I mean with the tweet here is that gold has an infinite supply, right? Not conceptually, but by definition. There's always more gold that can be mined. So by definition, but I want to say also conceptually, right? If asteroid mining becomes a thing, even conceptually, right? Why are we even talking about asteroid mining of gold? Is because it seems possible enough that it should be chased. Does that make sense, right? So people are spending time and energy to figure out, would it be possible to mine gold on asteroids? There's actually people doing that, right? So
Can I share
Yeah.
something quickly? I think that
Yeah, of
what you're
course.
saying is so relevant because once you I'm sharing my screen.
Yeah,
Once
yeah.
you think of
I have to
like
switch.
this quote is so important. So watch your thoughts, they become your words. Watch your words, they become your actions. Watch your actions, they become your habits. Watch your habits, they become your character. Watch your character, it becomes your destiny. So the fact that we're thinking about this right now, we're thinking about this, the fact that we can go into space and get gold. We're just thinking about it, but eventually there are going to be enough people thinking about it and people who have the capability to go into
Yeah.
space to find
Yeah.
gold. Like that thought is going to become the action.
Exactly. So this is how
You can't stop it.
ideas, right, that are metaphysical, thoughts that are metaphysical, are actually manifested into the reality. It
Yeah.
is in the conversation because it sounds plausible enough for people to again spend time and energy to figure out if it would be possible, right? So
To do it, yeah.
more gold can always be mined.
Yeah.
Period. Not my opinion. I think that is fact.
Always.
Right? Okay. Bitcoin is absolutely finite, which is the total opposite of that.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's not conceptually scarce, right? It's not just even in text on a paper. There's a defined moment in time. No more Bitcoin will ever be created.
Mm-hmm.
So that makes it the scarcest today. Does that make sense? So if you think about your future, you do things to move into your future, to do things for your future, whether in 5 minutes or in 5 or in 50 years. And so if you have this asset called gold, right, which is valuable, we're not dismissing it being valuable, but if there's this thing that comes along next to it, which has obvious superior characteristics, you have to pay attention. That's kind of my point. I don't know, maybe that's simplistic, but this post I always share with anyone who's talking about like gold and Bitcoin and whatever. It's quite long. I'll post it here in the chat. I don't know where that shows up.
Oh, nice. I see it.
Okay. Bitcoin versus gold. 7 reasons why. Well, this was the last time when Bitcoin went past silver. So he said now the Bitcoin has moved up to the 5th most valuable asset on the planet. There's only one true competitor, gold. 7 reasons why this is temporary. Supply. It's kind of what we talked about. New discoveries in technology could further increase the amount of discoverable gold. Bitcoin, only 21 million will ever exist. Supply and inflation are known, removing the mystery that plagues gold and all similar assets. Okay, audits. Gold, never. How much gold does the US actually have? How much gold does China actually have? No one knows how much gold exists today or how much gold will exist in the future. Bitcoin self-audits every 10 minutes. So we know how much Bitcoin there is now. The fun thing is that when you audit Bitcoin now and I audit Bitcoin now, we both see the exact same thing, which is amazing, right? Think about even an audit team in Fort Knox, like a leader of an audit team on site would maybe have different information than someone in a back office doing stuff for the audit team, right? So, yeah.
I was going to say, even the experts are just guessing. Like they have no idea. Right. There was a post that I saw yesterday from, I don't remember who it was. I'm trying to find it.
But yeah, like if you put all the gold together in this cube, it's like the middle of a soccer field or something like that. Right.
Yeah.
Like it's they have this visualization, this 3D.
But that's a guess. Nobody knows, right? Nobody has any idea.
Exactly. And that's the point here. You know absolutely how much Bitcoin there is right now, how much there will be mined, how much there will be in 7 days, in 7 years, in 70 years, in 17 hours, right?
Yeah.
And we know exactly how much there is now. I mean, yeah, you either think that's important or not. It's kind of my conclusion, right? Okay, authenticity. I mean, I love this. We saw the CZ and Peter Schiff example, right, on stage where CZ gave him this bar of gold. He was like, oh yeah, it's nice and it's shiny and it weighs something. And then CZ says, well, how do you know it's real? And then Schiff says, well, I don't know. I don't know. And that's the point, right? That's the point. So I always say to gold people, you know, if I buy a gold coin in a store, how do I know it's real?
Yeah.
And they say, well, it has markings and it comes from this dealer. And I mean, but that's the point. No third party needed in Bitcoin.
Yeah. That's the thing, right? You don't need anybody else. So I guess this goes into like why fiat even exists in the first place. We needed fiat because gold doesn't work to like you can't confirm whether gold is real. You can get a gold coin from someone, but you don't know if it's real or not. With government issued currencies, you know that it's real, well, as real as it can be,
Yeah.
because the bank can confirm that it's real. If you have digital currency, you can't really send digital currency without having access to a bank, right? You can't send if I no go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's the same as when you open your bank app on your phone and you see numbers.
Yeah, yeah,
You know,
and with
you don't know if it's if it's real.
no, that's
What
it.
is
That's
it?
exactly it. Like with
Yeah.
precious metals, you have no idea whether they're real or not. There's actually I want to share something again. So there's a picture that
You
I
can do a
found on
scratch test and a sound test. It makes a
Yeah.
certain sound, Rajat.
Bite It. That's what what's his name? Keith Weiner was saying, bite it. So okay, so look at this. This guy spent
Maybe
$5,200.
zoom in like 1 or 2
Oh,
times.
I can't zoom in anymore.
Oh
Let
yeah,
me see.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Let me see if
yeah,
I can open it in a new tab. Oh here. Okay. So this guy spent $5,200 on silver and gold. $5,200, and they're all fake.
yeah. I
Oh,
mean,
sorry.
it's yeah.
$5,200 he spent, and it's all fake. Like that. What do you even do there? Right? He could have like you can see here. I could have purchased 2 high-end metal verifiers for the loss. So he's gonna buy high-end metal verifiers because he can't confirm whether the gold is real any other way. So the way
Yeah,
that I see
I
it, the way
mean,
that I see it,
yeah.
people are worried right now. People are thinking, "Oh, Bitcoin's down, gold is up. I made the wrong decision." No, no, you didn't. You didn't. The world hasn't figured out what Bitcoin is yet. That's the thing. You if you understand Bitcoin, you are ahead of, I would say, 99.9% of people. Because even the people who own Bitcoin right now, they don't quite understand it. A lot of them,
There's a,
like,
I have a
go ahead.
tweet. I have a tweet. This was on my list.
Oh, amazing.
You know, like this. Bitcoin has failed to deliver on being a risk-off asset. Good news is that can change at any moment. I mean, somewhat positive tweet, right? But this first sentence, that's why I said people's brains have failed to comprehend the most profound technological discovery in their lifetime. That's why this is an opportunity. So just to extend on what you said, it is such an asymmetric opportunity that the rest of the world thinks you're crazy. And yes, anyone in crypto or having found some crazy stock would say the same, right? So this is a very snake oil salesman type thing that I just said, right? No
Isn't
one
that what
understands
makes
it.
it asymmetrical, though? The fact that other people don't know it?
Yeah, but I mean more like, of
I get what
course,
you're saying.
of
Yeah.
course, I would say that because I own Bitcoin and I want my bags to go up is what,
Yeah.
the classic rebuttal would be. The fun thing is, I don't really care if people buy Bitcoin or not, right? You have to figure this out for yourself. And we can actually actively say, please don't follow me. Please don't follow Rajat. Please don't believe me. Verify it for yourself. Because the fun part is you can actually do that.
Yeah.
Right?
You can't do that with gold. You have to trust.
Well, or you have to have good ears or good teeth
No,
or
but
whatever.
no matter how good your ears are, how are you going to go around and find how much gold exists?
I mean, it's that. So it's funny. We're going in this circle, right? We're going in a circle because it's so obvious. Bitcoin is better than gold. And the fun part is, again, everyone can figure that out for themselves. And so I really see this time that we're in, all these fudding tweets, all these people saying like, oh, it's so slow and blah, blah, blah. This is the opportunity. It's really the opportunity, honestly. And back in the day, there were people that didn't want to have a mobile phone. There were people that hated the printing press. There were people that, hated cars, hated trains, hated electricity, hated microwaves, hated computers, all these things, right? And they still happen. And I think when we talk about it like this, let's take it back to that chart that you have. And something you said, actually, you can see the trend. You see the trend.
Yeah.
Right. You see the trend, and the trend is clear. This is gold in Bitcoin in gold. right?
Yeah.
Cannot really read it.
Yeah, gold. So this is gold priced in Bitcoin. Gold ounces per Bitcoin.
Exactly. Yeah. So,
Or sorry, the other way. It's Bitcoin per gold ounces. That's what it is. Whatever.
Yeah.
It's basically telling you how many satoshis 1 ounce of gold costs. That's the
exactly right.
main
So
idea.
now it goes a little bit up, but the further it goes down, the stronger and more value a Bitcoin has. So
Yeah.
I think there's a few things to kind of mitigate all the FUD you see. One is this is a long game. It's a long
Yeah.
game. No one has a fucking clue what money is. No one knows that it's broken. They're all pointing to all the wrong things, and they don't understand that you just choose another money. You take the energy out of one money and you put the energy literally in a new money. You need to understand that this is a long game, but also that this has happened thousands, maybe even millions of times before, where people moved to a better store of value, a better currency, because it served them better. Eventually, money is a technology. It has a use case. And if the current technology doesn't serve you anymore, you need to go and find a better technology. It's great because there's a better technology available, again, that you can verify for yourself. That's permissionless. Doesn't matter what you look like, your religion, your whatever. It's a global neutral money. But again, no one really knows what money is, and no one really asked that question. So when you do start asking these questions and you start going down the proverbial rabbit hole, you feel like you are the crazy person, right? If you talk in your IRL, in your real life, in your vicinity, and you talk about, about Bitcoin or whatever, people think you're crazy, you're a conspiracy guy. Why would there be other people, that rule over me through the money and and all these things? And I think that is why it's so hard, but also a very personal and kind of like spiritual journey as well. Because when you are hodling Bitcoin and you're looking at the world and you're looking at all these people that are scientists and saying, it's trash and whatever, you constantly have to ask yourself the question, can I still trust myself? Every day almost nowadays, I would say, with all the FUD that's going on.
Yeah.
And I think the only thing we can say is just keep on doing the work. I mean, I'm still learning things every week, new insights, new things where I think oh wow, yeah, oh okay, this is also interesting, or whatever. This is something we're going to look at for the rest of our lives, I think. And like you said, it's either zero. This is also how I always viewed it. It's either zero or it's literally the black hole of value. It's the new measurement of value that we currently do not have in the world. There is no middle ending for Bitcoin for me. And so is there no risk? Absolutely not. Obviously, there is risk. We are making a certain choice. No one's saying this is 100% certain. But the tail risk of this thing going to zero because it's stupid and it doesn't make sense. I mean, the ECB, the European Central Bank, is spending time on writing multiple papers on Bitcoin. Christine Lagarde talks about Bitcoin being, it's stupid and it's nothing. And I say, well, if it's stupid, why are you even spending a word on it? Do you know how many ideas get released on the internet every day?
Yeah.
And this one from 16, 17 years ago is still so shit that you spend time on rebutting whatever anyone says about it, right? And I think those things are the signals that you should look for. That's why this is such an opportunity. This is not a dumb idea. It's not a stupid idea, or else it would have died many, many years ago. In its infancy, it would have died.
Yeah, 100%. Actually, can I share my screen? I wanted to show an example of somebody who left a comment on one of my YouTube videos. You can see here. I sold 25 ounces of physical gold, shipped it, registered mail across the countries to a large broker. The package got stuck in Milwaukee for 6 days, stuck in Chicago for 2 days, then took 2 weeks to reach the broker. The broker then counts it, verifies it's real, initiates a bank transfer to my bank. My bank then takes 2 to 4 business days to process the wire. He didn't even say 2 to 4 business days, he said 2 to 4 days, but it's 2 to 4 business days. So if you're on a weekend, you can't even do it. total round trip time to sell my gold is 18 to 20 days. That's wild. 18 to 20 days. Meanwhile, Bitcoin has risen another 10% in the time that it took to sell my gold. If gold is actually real money, then why is it so hard to find someone to buy? The crazy thing here again is it's like so with gold, it works great as a store of value. I'm not even arguing against that. The people who are saying that gold price is going to go up, they were right. But you can't use it as money. I can't send, if I wanted to send you gold, how do I do it?
Yeah, of course. But I mean, this is fine. This is fine. This is why there's this opportunity. We are lucky enough to live in this transition phase, right? So
Yeah.
it's not about saying like, oh, gold is stupid or whatever. Like I don't really care about gold. Okay, fine, gold exists. Some people have a certain idea around it. My point is more when there is something that comes along that is objectively superior, the rational thing to do is to get that thing. And that is what is so difficult, is that a lot of people just do what other people do. And that is why you are crazy when you start looking into Bitcoin. And I think the fun thing is I had American Hodl on once on the podcast, and he said, you know, as Bitcoiners, we're probably like 7 or 8 years ahead of everyone else. And it's funny because now I'm thinking a lot of people in TradFi and in like banking, they're having their 2017, 18, like crypto ICO, blockchain is the revolution solution, whatever moment, right? Tokenize everything and whatnot. Two things about that. One, what you said about the stock trading, right? I'm super excited to see where 24/7 tokenized stock trading is going to go. Because if there are some crazy guys that stay up until like 2 a.m. on Wall Street bets and are like, we should fuck up XYZ company, and XYZ CEO wakes up in the morning and sees his stock tanked, how are you even building a business?
Yeah.
You know, if the degeneracy from crypto is coming to stocks 24/7, wow. I really wonder where that's gonna go. But let them, right? Let them. Just like this. I saw this by the IMF. It's so funny. It's so brazen also, by the way. I think it's so interesting. Money has come a long way since the first uses of shells or coins millennia ago. Today, it may be considered our most used technology, as most people use digitally recorded money, i.e., again, the number in the banking app on your phone is a number in a centralized database, probably maintained by another third party. Okay, so that is what they're talking about, digitally recorded money. It's funny, by the way. It's also a link to the bookkeeping part. So Darren Feinstein, who I just showed you a tweet of, the guy with the gold thing. He's writing a book. He has an amazing podcast, by the way, with Peter McCormack on what Bitcoin did like 2-3 years ago. And it's about triple entry bookkeeping.
Oh, I've seen
it. Very cool.
I think Jor was the one who recommended that to me.
Oh yeah, that's probably one of the best podcast episodes that I've seen about Bitcoin, in the sense that, you know, big picture idea thinking. So they're kind of alluding to that, right? It's eventually it's about the ledger. Can you trust the ledger, right? Our analyze this video, okay, explains tokenization and why programmable money is useful. The IMF.
Money has come a long way since the first uses of shells or coins millennia ago. Today, it may even be considered our most used technology, as most people are using money that is recorded digitally. So what's the next step in this evolutionary story? Let's talk about tokenization, or how we turn our pocketbooks into something that's programmable. Why would we need programmable money? We use money to consume or save, and owning assets is a common way to save. Tokens can make it faster and cheaper to buy, own, and sell assets. Say that I want to...
Even the jump from analog to digital to it being tokens, I think is weird. By the way, I think it's why should it be a token? Okay, and then it's about that it's faster. It's weird.
Want to buy a corporate stock or bond. Today there would be a long chain of middlemen between me and that company. Think, for instance, of a clearinghouse, an independent bridge between the buyer and seller of an asset. It waits to receive the buyer's payment and the
I mean, this is true. My point here is all of this nonsense is a direct reaction to the release of Bitcoin, which is the only permissionless money to ever exist. And it's the biggest threat to central bankers who, up until now, had it easy controlling you.
Yeah.
And that's what I think in terms of, okay, they see this, right? They should ignore Bitcoin. I think sometimes there were people from the IMF who commented on Bitcoin. Then all the crypto stuff came along. Nothing ever really came out of that. And now these more like TradFi people are like, okay, we can use this crypto thing, tokenize the world, real world assets and whatnot. But then still the question remains funny because there's a comment here. Most people fail to understand the counterparty risk entirely. If you have tokenized assets, real world assets on the blockchain, who puts the assets on the blockchain? Who has permission to assign whatever the real world asset is to the token that's on the blockchain? That's one. So it's not a permissionless blockchain, it's a permissioned blockchain. Someone is running the blockchain. Someone is giving out user roles to other people that can connect a real world asset to a token, right? How do you know the real world asset is real? How do you know a home is actually at a certain address, right? How do you know the bottle of whiskey is actually in some guy's vault or whatever they want to tokenize? And this is the thing, when you think about the map is not the territory, right? You know that, right? In Bitcoin, the map is the territory. It's the same thing. Does that make sense? Right? So
Can you explain that again?
Yeah, so like the blockchain network with tokens, right, on a tokenized network, that's basically the map.
Okay.
If you have real world assets, yeah. So when you have a map, in your hands, it is not the territory that you're in. Okay, does that make sense?
Oh, right. Okay. You just have
the map is not the real thing that you're standing in,
right?
Right. The map is a representation of the thing that you're standing in.
Oh,
right?
so okay, so that's what IOU is basically. Like if you have a gold-backed token, right? That's what a gold-backed token is.
Yeah,
but it's not actual gold.
Exactly. So the idea, just like a stock certificate, is not maybe there is but let's say the real world assets, right? So I have a token, and the token is XYZ Street 123 in New York, whatever, right? I own this home because there's this, little token here that is somewhere in this blockchain, and I can see it with my digital wallet but it's not the home. It's an abstraction of the actual thing, right? So the map you have is not the territory. It's not the thing. In Bitcoin, it is the same thing.
Yeah.
What I see, what I can verify, the UTXOs I actually have are also the thing.
Yes. Agreed.
And so that is a profound difference with any other asset. Even, people are now buying copper stocks and gold stocks and, stuff like that. It's not the thing. But again, do you mind or not, right? So this whole idea of outsourcing certain responsibility, verifiability, security, portability, all these elements of money in some way, shape, or form with all these different assets, you're outsourcing a certain part of that to another party, basically. But with Bitcoin, obviously, you can also do that, right? You can buy iBit, or you can, whatever the abstraction is. But there's also this option of you being able to verify it for yourself, store it for yourself, move it for yourself, send it for yourself, all these things. And so what I think is going to be increasingly more important to talk about is that Bitcoin is superior on all these characteristics, but it also just sounds kind of too good to be true. I also see this comment, which I like. top 35 companies in the S&P 500 combined is about this, gold market cap. No way is any commodity in value the same value as the best 35 companies in the world combined. Well, I think you can have a discussion around, you know, is the S&P 500, are those actually valuable companies, or is it a way to, you know, park money for a long time so inflation doesn't show up in the real economy, right? And also the weight distribution, I think Mag 7 gets like 34% of all the inflows or something like that. But the funny thing is I have to think about, I don't know, maybe it's you, or who is it? Who's the person on Twitter that says like Nvidia is worth 39 million Bitcoin?
Oh, that was me. I made a whole.
That's you, right? Yeah.
List.
Yeah.
Yeah, I made a
love
whole
that.
list
Can
of
you show
them
that?
with all
Yeah.
different kinds of companies. With
Yeah.
gold, with actually, let me find it. I'll find it.
Can you show that? Yeah, because I want you to explain it.
Yeah.
Because we talked about the absolute scarcity, right? And the idea that if this idea of the measurement of value, I think this is
I
also
found it.
a good one. Yeah, wait 1 sec. The measurement of value, right? So this is a good comment. Money is an abstraction of one's time energy value. Moving your time energy value onto the Bitcoin network removes or decreases the value of the system you are leaving, aka fiat. So why is Bitcoin a better store of value? Because your time and energy are absolutely finite, right? You don't know if you die tomorrow or in a week or in 50 years. So by definition, your time and energy are finite. So if you spend your time and energy to attempt to create value in the world and you get a reward for that, if that reward can be created infinitely, you are making the dumbest trade of your life. So you could receive it in this thing that can be created infinitely, but your biggest task or challenge is, how do I now store that before it becomes less valuable, before it buys me less, in something that is also absolutely finite, like my time and energy. And the only thing in the world that is absolutely finite, that can also function as money, right? Because some people on Twitter then say, well, my poop is finite too, right? Or whatever, like something dumb. Bitcoin is the only global monetary asset that has an absolutely finite supply. If you then take, wait, I'll show one more tweet and then I'll go to you because this is related to that. If you then take this idea of, okay, how can you price things if technology progresses, right? How can you price things in a money that keeps on losing its value? And this was another tweet I saw. Someone said, still waiting for all those productivity gains from AI to start lowering prices. Well, you cannot price deflationary technology in an inflationary money. They are fighting with each other, right? One is pushing prices down, and the technology, and the money that's constantly inflated, the supply is constantly inflated. There's more and more units of this money being introduced to pay off debt and how this financial system works. And so you cannot properly price the deflationary effects of advancing technology. You can only price it in something that is steady, that doesn't change, that is very predictable. And like we talked about, Bitcoin has this absolute supply, this known supply today, in a week, in 10 years, in 50, in 100 years. So some people argue that Bitcoin could be the best measurement for value. Well, if then everything of value can be measured with 21 million Bitcoin units, right? Everything divided by 21 million, that's where that comes from. Then
it's
it
like
doesn't really...
It's like your banner on X. 1 millimeter or 1 meter.
Yeah.
1
kilogram, one watt.
Yeah.
But the fun thing is, so if everything divided by 21 million, the meme is we are going to value everything. The best way to value everything in the world that has value, which is our perception, right, is with these 21 million units. Well, your tweets are about, okay, well, if that is the case, if we look at the value of companies today, some values are nonsense. I'll put it on the stage. Yeah, wait, I'll
this
make it
tweet
bigger.
went absolutely crazy.
So please extend on what I said with this.
So the way that I see it, I think that because if we go back into what you were saying there, everything divided by 21 million. So what's happening here is, the way that I see it, every asset is going to fit within Bitcoin, and we're going to price every asset in Bitcoin. So right now you can see here, Nvidia alone, just one company that offers one product, is worth 51 million Bitcoin. But keep in mind that this was a while ago. This was January 11th, 2026. 2 weeks ago. Might have changed by now. Google is worth 45 million Bitcoin. Apple is worth 43 million Bitcoin. Microsoft is worth 40 million Bitcoin. Amazon is worth 30 million Bitcoin. In total, these companies are worth 210 million Bitcoin, but there are never going to be 210 million Bitcoin in existence. That much Bitcoin is never going to exist. 210 million Bitcoin. There are only going to be 21 million Bitcoin in existence. So what I think is going to happen, now keep in mind, I could be wrong on this. There could be some kind of leverage. I don't think that these companies should be worth 210 million Bitcoin, but maybe, let's say all the companies on Earth, every single company combined, because the company's value is priced marginally at the marginal seller and buyer's price. So every single company in total could be worth $210 million, but the top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 companies, that's not value. That's not worth $210 million. The way that I see it, I mean, most bullish case for Bitcoin, I think everything is going to fit in this 21 million. So houses, stocks, houses, stocks, bonds, every company on Earth is going to fit in this 21 million Bitcoin. Like you can see with MSTR, their MNAV is like 1.05, 1.1 or something like that, and they own Bitcoin. That Bitcoin is potentially the best asset in the world. All of these companies own none. They own zero, right? Zero Bitcoin. And over time, because of that, these companies' value is going to trend to zero Bitcoin because that's what they have. That's what they own.
And that's what this comment means, right? The comment is 210 million Bitcoin, question mark. Yeah, that's oh, well, dollars, he says, slip of the tongue in the chat. But the fun thing is, this is not possible, right? That's the whole point. The whole point is this is not possible. And that's, I think, also a signal where you can think about, okay, what is the actual value of things, either companies or stuff or food or whatever, when you constantly measure it in a measurement tool, fiat money, right? Dollars, euros, yens, pounds, of which more and more constantly exist. So each unit is worth less slowly over time, right? So if you're building a house and you have a ruler that's a meter long and you start, but the day after it is only, 99 centimeters, and then it goes to like 96, and then it goes to 90, and then maybe it goes back up to 92, but generally that's not the trend, right? And so I don't know if you can look up dollar debasement, but that's probably, well, let's say euro debasement, I know that is about 60% for the last 25 years. You went from a meter, 100 centimeter, to that same meter being 40 centimeters now. So imagine you're building something that takes a long time, just a long time, right? A year is not long, 5 years, semi-long. 10 years is a long time, right? So for example, then the euro lost about 30% in those 10 years. And I think we talked about this before, but I think in general in Bitcoin, this is something we talk about is, okay, if I'm not even able to do something for 10 years, right? What is the impact of that? Because things that have value take a long time to make. Whether that is a company, a product, a service, a community, a village, whatever, but even art, right? Or certain buildings or whatever. There are a lot of buildings that we still look at today and marvel at like the beauty and that it's still here. All those things took longer than 10 years to build, right? So even today, there's, by the way, I don't know the name, but I follow them on X. There's now this company that makes like huge bronze statues, like from ancient Greece type time. And there's also this company that uses these like CNC machines for marble, and they make marble statues, but with computers. It's really, really sick. But like this time where people actually did this, right? They spent 10 or even 20 years on building something that lived far beyond their physical life, it's not even possible anymore to even plan for that. Like you said, if you take even 5% loss of purchasing power per money unit, over 10, 20 years, that's a lot of loss of purchasing power. So you cannot even plan for the future. So even if you want to do something big, even if you want to try something that is risky, everything in life is risky. But if you want to move somewhere or start a family or build a company or build, something crazy, it gets increasingly harder to plan for that, one, and two, actually execute on that, right? And I think this is something we talk about a lot, but still it's kind of under discussed, I would say. What the effect of that is, just think, you don't even have to think about Bitcoin, just think about this. You're muted.
Something that you said there was it takes time to produce art. It takes time to produce all these different things. What I've noticed is that as it takes a shorter amount of time. So the reason why it takes a shorter amount of time is the way that I see it is because the money doesn't work. So let's say you have an investor who wants to make a certain building or a piece of art. If you're the artist or if you're the designer of that art, you're going to take less time to create that art or that building, because you know that the money is decreasing in value over time. You know that the money that you're getting, the money that you got, was worth a certain amount at the time when you got it, but over time it's going to buy fewer and fewer things. So why would you sacrifice your own consumption to give your customer a better piece of art or a better building? You're just losing out yourself. So because of that, because it has to take less time to produce the things that we have, the quality is falling. So you see look at the music that we have today. It's just like one thing that I noticed is mumble rap, right? They're just like, you can't even hear what they're saying.
The words are disappearing.
Right. There's no words. They're just saying things that come to their mind, and they're like just saying it because they want to go viral and that they want to make the money as soon as possible, but they're not thinking about how things are going to look long term. Like if who was the person that printed who painted the Sistine Chapel? Was it Michelangelo? So he took how long to make that? I think he took years. I think it took him decades or something like that to make it. But
no, 4
years? Was that what it was?
Yeah.
4 years.
Still 4 years.
4 years, yeah. Right? Like to
pretty wild, by the way.
Like that, right? Years. Like it took 4 years. Today we would try to get it done ASAP. We'd try maybe the material that we have today to print to paint with is easier. Maybe we have better technology to paint with. But the thing is that the quality that we create today is terrible. There's no there's like, people don't care about quality anymore. Right? Like when I was looking, so something that I noticed is we were looking for a new coffee table. And I remember when my parents bought a coffee table for our house, it was all wood, great material, looked amazing. It was like $200. Today, you know what you get for $200? You get like those MDF cardboard tables,
yeah,
right? For $200. If you want to go get an actual table like the one that my parents got, I went to a furniture shop, $1,500 for the same thing. And apparently inflation is 2% per year. So it went to $1,500 when back then it was $200. Let's say like 20 years ago, $200 to $1,500, but inflation is 2%. No, that's absolutely not true. The people who have real value to create are willing to charge you more and more because they know that people will buy it. They know that there are people out there who have $1,500 to spend on a table. So they'll keep rising. They'll keep raising their prices. They'll keep raising them because they can. Because they know that other people aren't willing to learn, to put in the time to learn these skills that are required to make a table like the one that is costing $1,500. Because they know that now it's just an assembly line. It's all just created on machines. Like even let's say with food, for example, today, all the food that we eat is like toxic sludge. It's because we want to create it as soon as possible. We want to create it as quickly as possible. It takes time, effort, and energy to produce high quality meat. Takes a lot of time. You can't scale it up. Whereas with machines, you can just invest more. You buy another machine, you buy another attachment, you make the food faster. You can't speed up the life of a cow without, messing up the cow in some way. Whereas with food, like let's say for example, you have Oreos. I guarantee you that the people who are making Oreos have gotten better at making them over time, and yet the price is going up. Why is that?
Yeah, I usually use the apple and bread example, right? So does an apple tree need more energy from the sun and more
Right.
rain to produce the same amount of yield per whatever square meters or whatever, how it's measured? It would be weird if that was the case. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And the same for like bread. This is usually how I start talking to people about this subject. It's like, okay, do you know this joke where people say, in the 1960s it cost 20 cents to buy a bread, or 25, and everyone is always like, haha, yeah, okay, that is funny, right? But why is that funny? Because this is what I ask people, like, do you think we became better at creating bread in the last 65 years? If you just think about technological advancement and stuff like that, people say like, yeah, of course. I say, okay,
Yeah.
So,
and it's knowledge,
if
right?
we-
Knowledge being passed down from person to person. You get better, 100%. You get better.
yeah, but also every technological advancement
Right.
is a compounding of knowledge, right? It's also a compounding of using less energy to have more output, basically. So it's condensing of energy, more output. So then I just ask people like, okay, would you agree that in the past 65 years, we've become better at creating bread? Does that sound logical? Yeah, of course, that sounds logical. Okay. So why is the bread 4 or 5 money units instead of 20 cents of the money unit? Shouldn't the bread be free? Or shouldn't it be like some super bread where you eat one slice and you have energy for a day, or whatever the innovation would be that you expect? And people then just look at me like, no, I don't know. But it's more about, we never really think about this. We never really think about, and I mean, I didn't do this before, right? We never really think about what you just started, these incentives. Why do incentives change, or where do the incentives come from? And I think this is another meme in Bitcoin, right? Like everything is downstream from the money. I think the full sentence should be like, everything is downstream from the quality of money. You were just saying like, okay, well, if all the money I have today is worth the most today, why would I'm not even incentivized to try something for 10 years, let alone for 10 weeks, right?
Yeah.
Take time off to investigate, I don't know, a market and try to validate an idea, and then enter a market with a new idea, or whatever. People aren't just incentivized to do that because the money doesn't allow them to take risk, because the money is the risk. That's a good tweet, by the way. But I'm thinking about the mumble rap that you said. It's funny, right? It's like the quality of the songs goes down, and I was just like, I was trying to look up on Perplexity. I'm not really sure what it's called, but I once heard that, and I'm butchering the timeline, but let's say 100 years. It's probably wrong, but let's say, for the sake of the argument, 100 years. There are now less words being used in language. Have you ever heard about this?
I didn't know that, no.
That in like English, let's say the average person used, I'm going to say a number, I'm trying to find out how this is named. The point is, let's say the average person had a vocabulary of 50,000 words. Today, it's like 25,000. Or something like that. So the point is more that if you know less words, you are less able to express yourself, but you are also less able to explore ideas, basically. So even when we're talking about why Bitcoin is too profound for most, and we are also lucky to be wired in a certain way, it is also that there's this degradation of not only the quality of the stuff, but also the quality of the interactions, and therefore also the quality of the depth of the research and the reflection, and the rebellion at whatever is controlling us, or how it is just harder and harder for people to get to the core of a certain subject to then figure out, okay, what do I do with this? I think it's called something like language attrition or something. But I was trying to find this YouTube video I saw where they kind of talk about it. Yeah, mumble rap. That's
Yeah,
a
I
good
can
example.
see that. I can see that because people aren't reading anymore. They don't have the time to read. They don't have the energy to read. Most people are just like school, just like the way the schools run, people are like they're scarred for life. They just don't want to read, right? I mean, I guess that's part of it as well. There's also education takes time
Hmm.
and it costs way too much. The opportunity cost is way too high. You could do a minimum wage job. Let's say, is it California that has like a $20 minimum wage? You go to California, you live there, you're making 40 grand a year just from doing minimum wage work. Whereas if you go to school for 4 years, you're gonna get a job that pays you at 50K and you're spending 200K on the education. That's crazy. That makes no sense. You're putting yourself, you're taking a step forward, but then you're taking 10 steps back.
Yeah, wild, really, really wild. I know you have to go in a bit. I'm thinking maybe there are some questions from people. We can do 2-3 questions, or
Oh,
I'm just.
Philip
I'm
just
just.
said the kids
Hmm?
say the AI can read for them now. Exactly. Right, because nobody wants to put in the effort and the time. Entertainment is everywhere, right? You can just scroll through your phone instead of being able, like the book behind you, the price of what is it? The price of
Price of Tomorrow.
tomorrow. That's what it is. The price of tomorrow.
Mm.
That book, most people aren't going to read something like that because it's just too boring. It takes too much time. It takes too much effort. Where they would rather just do something else. Like it's so much easier to be entertained today because there are so many
Mhm.
things that are available to entertain you, right? You can just watch a TV show, you can play a video game. There are so many things that you can do that are taking us away from actually growing, like watching sports, betting on gambling on sports, all that stuff. It takes us away from the real things that we should be doing.
I mean, I agree, but this is also the whole point of what you wake up to, right? When you think about this this outsourcing. I had this conversation with someone, and he asked me like, "Well, why are all the Bitcoiners also into all these other rabbit holes, and why are they so conspiratorial and all these things?" And I think my reply is just very basic. Like when you realize that you've been lied to about what money is, and then you realize that money is probably the most important technology in the world, then I mean, what else isn't true?
Yeah.
You know, and I think
it forces you down that rabbit hole.
I mean, you just asked the question, what else isn't true? And now I want to know. And now I'm going to think about, okay, well, my idea of subject XYZ is this. It's shaped by none of my own thinking. Okay.
Yeah.
Where did I get this from? Oh, I got this from there. Okay. What would be the reason that they would tell me that, so that that I think this, of which I never reflected upon, but always acted upon, basically. Does that make sense? Right. So and I think that's the main question. That's why people look at all these other different subjects, because why is lying about the money so bad? Well, again, if you're trading your finite time and energy for a reward that other people can just create infinitely and mess around with and play around with infinitely and create more debt on and all the things, and eventually you, as just the general random plebeian at the bottom of the ladder, you are basically the person who's paying for that. I think that's pretty profound to realize, don't you think? So okay, if that's the case,
there's
what
a
else?
comment there from Psionica that I really like. You see that comment? I don't know about food slop thesis too readily. Like, this is something that it connects back to what you're saying. It may not be intentional that they're trying to get us to eat slop, but it seems like that has ended up being the case, right? Because right now you have all these massive companies who are producing food, and they need to offer their shareholders bigger and bigger profits, growth at all costs. They need to grow no matter what. So they have to provide us with toxic sludge because real food is not profitable enough.
I think right. I think this is a good comment in the sense that it's not active poisoning. I agree. It's just following your incentive.
Mhm.
Is your incentive to? I mean, go back to the bread example. Okay, my honest question is, after 65, let's say from the 1960s, why is the bread? I think many would agree, nutritionally worse than the bread of 65 years ago. Wouldn't it make sense that if you have better technology for growing the weeds, making the dough, baking the thing, everything that is involved in the chain of creating a bread improves? Logic. I don't have proof to. I don't have any data to prove that, but my rationale is that in 65 years we've become better at all of these things in the chain of creating a bread.
Yeah.
It's
Like, if you think
logically.
about it,
Yeah.
we have machines now. Okay, so before you'd have people doing the work manually, right? They'd be kneading the dough manually, for example.
Yeah.
Now they don't. Now there's not a single person touching the dough. It's all being done by machines. And you've eliminated all these people who need healthcare. They need a salary. They need to go to work, or they need to go home. They need to pay for a mortgage. You've eliminated all these people,
Mhm.
and you've gotten, let's say, for example, now, back then, let's say 1,000 people were doing the job. Now you have 10 people doing 1,000 people's job, because you have all these people just overseeing these machines.
Yeah. And it's just logical. This is like this always happens, right? So it's
Yeah.
logical. So
It has to.
the point is, it should become better in quality as well. Again, it's conceptually, right? But in practice, and I think there's also this loop. There's because wait, I have Sionica replying again. Like this, in the US, most breads are like cakes with the amount of sugar. Yeah, it's because
Yeah.
people want to eat that also, right?
Yeah.
Or maybe they need to eat that because they cannot afford other bread. So there's also this loop of incentives. So once you cannot afford it anymore, and that group becomes bigger, it also becomes more interesting economically to start serving those people, basically. So the
Yeah.
point is more that you could logically argue that we would become better at bread, and in general, most bread, let's call it affordable bread, because we also have this comment. I agree. I mean, I can go around the corner here and buy a 10 euro bread. It's not difficult to buy an expensive bread that is handmade, but that's not the point. That's not how you feed everyone, right? The point is that when you become better in general technology of creating bread, why is it worse now and cost more?
Yeah.
That's
What
the point.
Sionica said there does make sense, right? I mean, I don't think it's intentional. Like, they're not intentionally trying to kill us.
No.
Right. I think it was just a byproduct of making profits for the shareholders.
Yeah. And I saw this comment, so thanks
Mhm.
for following up. Appreciate taking the question. So funny thing is, I once saw this video about what a profound innovation Ben & Jerry's is, for example. Like the amount of calories that are compressed in like, I don't know what's that called, like a package of
Like a
Ben &
carton.
Jerry's.
Yeah.
Like
That's interesting.
in one thing, like the amount of calories put into that like volume is a crazy feat, right? Because for let's say, I don't know, what is that, probably like 1,300 calories for like this whole thing of Ben & Jerry's, you had to go out and fucking hunt. Right? Like you had to go out and kill an animal and do all these things, expend a lot of energy to get the animal, right? And then maybe, you probably get to that amount of calories, but just the fact that we actually have that, I think maybe is a comment on this question.
Wild.
Yeah, it's also really easy, right? It's
Yeah.
you don't have to really fight for your food anymore. I think this is a different discussion, but it's all kind of tied together in that sense. I'm looking at
He replied again. We can multiply bread across all products and services. It's a worthy thought experiment. Yeah, exactly. See, that's the thing. If we go back to the table example, there should technically be more people. We should have more machines that can create a wooden coffee table. But instead, now we have this MDF garbage that doesn't last more than a couple of years, and it costs more than the hardwood table did a few years ago.
Yeah, I agree. I'm trying to look up. There was this really funny joke about in this city there was a new fountain made and presented, and I cannot really find it quickly, but there was this like festive activity and they're revealing the fountain, and it was this brutal like cement fucking ugly thing in like the center of a city. And then someone put like the Trevi fountain, in Rome next to it, like this beautiful fountain, and it's like, Bitcoin standard fountain and fiat money standard fountain. But that's the whole thing. It's even like the Sagrada Familia in Barcelona.
Yes.
This crazy building that they've been working on for, I want to say, over 100 years with all the
I think
renovations.
it's like 144 years that they've been working
something
on
like
it.
that.
Yeah.
I mean, who would even want to do that anymore? Yeah, maybe this one iconic building like what this is. Yeah, there's probably enough people to find to work on that. But when you think about all the old buildings that exist today, there's nothing being built. Think about it for yourself. What in your lifetime has been built that you think will last 400 or 500 years that you know of? Like how many things? How many buildings that you know or have seen?
Most of the buildings now are just ugly.
Yeah, but are they going to survive 400 or 500 years?
No, they're
Yeah,
ugly
so-
and they're not going to survive 405 years.
Yeah, that's crazy. Funny. There are some
Wild.
ice creams that have to be labeled as frozen dairy dessert because of the ingredients. Yeah, so it's not even ice cream. Well, anyway, let's not go down too far. I think this is quite a doomer rabbit hole, to be honest. Right? Like if you
No.
really,
It's a doomer rabbit hole if you look at it from the fiat perspective, but if it's from the Bitcoin perspective, then it's not. Right? Like even let's say, for example, if you wanted to buy like grass-fed steaks back at some point, maybe it cost 150,000 satoshis per steak. Today, it probably costs 16,000 satoshis per steak. Eventually, it'll cost 1,600 satoshis per steak. Then it'll cost 160 satoshis per steak. So it's not really, it's a doomer if you look at it from the fiat perspective, because the fiat currencies are designed they're designed to bring doom and gloom to the world. But if you look at it from the Bitcoin perspective, then it's not. Right?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
sorry, I
there you
see
go.
this comment. Yeah,
Twinkie might survive 400 years.
yeah, might be. Yeah, I agree. I do think this is also why Bitcoin is the change bringer in that sense,
Yeah.
right? If you go back to a hard money standard, what we talked about, if all the value in the world is divided by 21 million, you're going to have to work really, really hard to even earn a piece of that, right? You have to start delivering real value to earn this hardest money to ever exist. And I think it is very romantic to fantasize about that. I think it's really fun to see, okay, could it be better? Like where could that even end? If everyone is incentivized to create value in whatever way, shape, or form, right? Like even like what I want to say is like it doesn't really matter what you do, because a lot of things that people do have value. So whether you're an architect of something, or you're a musician, or you're an artist, or at all levels, a cleaner or whatever, it's not about what you do. It's about that what you do you're incentivized to do to the best of your ability. And if doing A is not something that you are actually good at, you have the opportunity to do B or C or even up until G to figure out what it is that makes you happy and that you are very good at, that actually brings value to the world. And I think that is where the Bitcoin is hope meme comes from, is that we can actually have a time and space where everyone can figure that out and have the time and space to figure that out. That's another thing, right? With like nowadays, with fiat money, if you cannot create the time and space to try something, what does that future look like, right? That is pretty dark. So I think having that hope through Bitcoin is awesome. I
Bitcoin
know you.
creates that hope, right? It creates that hope.
I think so.
It gives you that hope that, okay, your cost of living is going to decrease and you'll be able to potentially increase your standard of living over time, right?
Mhm.
Like, because you're a Bitcoiner, your kid is going to have a better standard of living than you did growing up. Or they probably already did. They
Probably.
probably already do, because
Mhm.
you're a Bitcoiner, because you saved your time and your energy in Bitcoin. You saved it in a superior form of money, and now you're giving your kid a better life.
That's a great ender, don't you think?
Yeah, 100%.
All right.
That's what
Oh,
I
no,
want
great.
everybody to do that. Every single
Me
person
too.
on earth should be doing that.
Mhm. I
And
agree.
it'll incentivize them to even have kids, right? Because a lot of people today, I think they're scared of what the world will look like for their kids, and that's why they don't want to have kids.
I think we're super hopeful.
Yep, 100%.
All right. Well, I hope people enjoyed this, and I want to thank you again. Let's do it soon again, and make sure that where I don't know, people are watching on my X and my YouTube, but make sure you follow Rajat too. And we've done this a bunch of times before. You can find it on our YouTube channels, and we're definitely going to do it in the future. If you have any questions, comments, suggestions, hate, just send it to us.
Absolutely.
All right, cool. Well, you enjoy your day. I'm going to enjoy my evening, and catch you soon.
You as well, Bram.
Cheers.